that as a sociologist, as a social scientist, I've not read the book, and this is my first time hearing about it, so I decided to come to the panel. One of the most worrisome things is his research methods. And a researcher and a scientist is supposed to have a level of honesty with their readers and the people that they present to. And when you don't consider the lives of people other than the ones that you personally interviewed, and when you don't do the full extent of your research, you can't possibly present your subject as the science of gender thing. Like it's not, and it's not. I don't feel like you guys are trying to censor. I don't feel like you guys are trying. You are critiquing and with good respect, because in lieu of the academic world not critiquing him and not holding him accountable for this lack of what's the word? Ethics, accountability. Yeah, for what you're doing. Like I'm perfectly well within your rights. I think it's bull, complete and total bull. And it's the most unscientific book of science that I've heard of this week. So I don't know. I commend you for your critiques. They were all immensely magnificent. I wish I could just, put you on television and just eradicate all the other shows like they do in these presentations. And I thank you so much for doing this.
Will you be putting this on YouTube?
Yeah, we'll probably be editing it at some point.
I would like to share this with people who are not able to be here. So please do make it available.
Stephanie?
Yeah, Katrina, is that right? I just want to kind of piggyback on what she was saying. The pages in that book that you highlight, as someone with a PhD in educational research from a real university, from the Department of Educational Psychology, I know that whenever you develop a test, you're supposed to report the psychometric properties and how well it discriminates. And to me, it's kind of unconscionable that somebody with a PhD in psychology who works at such a reputable place would not report that. And I think the danger of a book like that, and again, I'm like you, I didn't hear explicitly or implicitly any of you say that Bailey should be censored. We're not about that. We're a press, so I don't think we're out to oppress anybody else. But because this is a book published by someone with a PhD in psychology from a wonderful institution, Northwestern, it's viewed as implied fact. Whether he says it's fact or not, it's sort of implied, and people will take it and run with it because they don't have that level of criticism that you all are presenting of the book. So I thank you for saying what you all have said collectively.
One thing I was going to say earlier about legal stuff. I'll say it again. All speech ain't protected. Fraud. The word fraud has been mentioned a lot of times here. That's actionable civilly and criminally. And I certainly have my opinions about whether or not there might be some eligibility for civil action based on that. But as an example, this is just hypothetical. Let's say flat out, Bailey absolutely knew in advance that everything he was writing was a lie. That's not just civil. That's marketed as science. That'd be criminal fraud. Okay, so it's speech. Even technically, I'm not saying censor it. Private restraint is a big deal in American constitutional law. But he's deliberately marketing something fraudulently and encouraging people to hand over money for it, getting people to part with something of value on something he knows is a lie. That's criminal fraud. Take it and run with it. Yep.
Lauren, what really scares me, and I don't know that much about this whole situation, but what really scares me is that these are not just words. These end up with serious biological effects. I mean, the fact that trans people have so much difficulty at obtaining affordable health insurance for their hormones, for them to be able to be healthy people who they are, and that's held beyond their reach. And I don't know exactly scientifically or socially speaking how much of a connection there is between health insurance premiums and what Bailey is saying, but if this is a common sense in society that trans people don't deserve to have health insurance, then what's the difference between killing people or letting them die without health insurance? I mean, my God, like if you can't get...
Bush administration.
So, I mean, this isn't just a debate, this is real. I mean, these are people that are loved and family members and sisters and brothers who are being prevented from getting care that they need. And that is not the country that I want to live in. That's not the world I want to live in at all. But I just wanted to state that.
And do we want the next generation of psychologists and medical students learning this as science and then applying these theories to real-life trans people? I mean, can you imagine the disaster that will have on their real lived experiences? It's very, very disturbing. Yeah.
And that's already happening as a social scientist and someone who sees a lot of students in our program that are psychologists. They're reading Bailey's books, and they have a well-meaning intent. I think a lot of psychologists who want to try to be inclusive, they don't really know about the field or anything. I mean, I've sent things out to all of my colleagues and try to get the word out, but I have students who have read that and think that's science, some kind of science. The other thing is the continuation of the transphobia and the harm that Clark University is perpetuating. I've gone to their trainings for therapists where they have said flat out that male to female trans women are incapable of forming mature relationships. And they're telling that to counselors. I was at an all-day-long workshop, and I of course, was screaming my head off, and at one point they said, we don't want to hear you. You know, we've got to get on with this. And the misinformation that's being handed out is hideous. Also, Blanchard is basing his research on studying sex criminals, and he's extrapolating that and putting that on trans people, and it's a crime. That's a crime. Thank you.
Thank you.